Today is February the 6th, and I was just thinking about okay, I'm gonna start off this video just is gonna be based off something that I just felt called to kind of talk about. I was thinking about it earlier, and I just felt like I just wanted to talk about it. And so, it says, topic is time as it relates to life and the world around us. And the reason why I thought about this was just because I was thinking about the phrase how everybody often says, time is too short. Not time, life is too short. Life is too short. Some people might say life is too short to worry about the small things, or life is too short to stress out over a past relationship or a loss. Life is too short. And I honestly feel like I disagree with that personally. Yes, to an extent that is true. But I feel as though it's more as though time, in a way, is subjective. Because you could say life is too short, but I've had multiple instances for myself personally where I felt like life is taking too long. And it feels like it's gonna span on forever. Especially in moments where it's just you're trying to get over a hurdle or a really difficult moment in your life. It feels like it's taking ages just for one day to pass. And in that same way, it kind of goes into the idea of how a minute in one instance can feels like 10 minutes. In others, a minute can feel like it's almost instant. Like you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's there. And to me, it just feels like I already have in my own mind that time is non-linear, that it doesn't really matter. Time is fully subjective on the situation, the person, and the location. It's not a set thing of a time. It's like a minute is this and that and blah, blah, blah. And yes, we can calculate that, but in a way that we actually feel it, time doesn't matter. It's just we use it to kind of rationalize different things in our lives. That's how I see it. We use time to plan things out, to help set an organized standard for something. But really, life is a fluid thing that continues, and not one single instance will feel the exact same. Therefore, I don't feel nor believe that time is fully linear. It's whatever we imagine it to be. It's whatever we shape it to be. It's whatever we form it to. Yes, obviously, you have the time on a clock that doesn't change, but it's about how you feel about it, if that makes sense. I hope it does. But yeah, time in relation to life and the way we see the world. I just don't agree with the statement that life is too short. Because again, it can be, yes, but it doesn't necessarily seem that way to me. It doesn't have to be short. Life doesn't have to be short at all. Life isn't something that is too minuscule nor too long. It just is. It can just be. Life just is. Time just is. It's not necessarily fixed on any specific speed or tempo. It just will be. Obviously, sometimes it'll pass through you and go past you as fast as possible, and you don't recognize one moment you're a child, and the next thing you know, you're growing up and you have to figure out what to do. You're no longer the same little person, the same little girl, little boy, whoever you once were. You're someone who's coming more into themselves, who has to be more responsible, and in that instance, it feels fast. It feels like it came just next thing you knew, you woke up and boom, you're there. And in that way, yes, life can be fast. But I think a lot of times people miss the point of it and how, I don't know. Because when I think of life being fast, I think you have to constantly move. And we live in a society where it's the norm to always be on a hustle, to always be on a grind, to always be on a move. And yet, no one really stops and just acknowledges life for what it is, acknowledges their own for just being, acknowledging the fact that you can just be and that the world can just be. No motion, no conflict, no anything. It can just exist. And I'm sorry, I had to fix my posture. But like, and for me, in my own personal sense, it feels more so like I wanted life to be faster. Like the moment in time was taking too long. But once I relaxed and I just allowed it to just be, I've seemed more calm. Like things around me seemed calmer as well. And even though I was at time faced with adversity, it was just what it was, something that I had to get through, get over, and calmly take a deep breath and allow yourself to come in to that moment and being. And yeah, plus I didn't realize, I hope everything's going good for everyone out there. I hope everybody's having a good day. And if they aren't, I hope next is better. And if this moment is just a time for you to take a time, take a breath, and breathe, please allow yourself to do so. Yeah, just calming, collectively, coming into this again. I will ramble, but yeah. And I'll go back to the topic time in relation to life. For me, again, it can feel fast, it can feel slow. It doesn't matter, it depends on the situation. But I don't believe that it's too short or it goes too quickly. I don't see it as being short at all, honestly. For myself, I hope for others as well that life is going to be efficient, that it is going to be filled with adventure, filled with new experiences and lessons, as well as filled with purpose and meaning for each individual, whatever that meaning and purpose is for them and their own lives. I hope that it's filled with it. And I thought about the word efficiency because in my mind, I automatically associate efficiency with fast, but I don't want life to be fast. I don't see it that way, so I don't want it to be. And so I had to look up like the dictionary definition of what efficient was. And efficiency isn't at all having to do with anything moving quickly or in a fast pace. Efficiency simply means the maximum. Hold on. I'm going to look it up again to make sure I'm not spreading misinformation. Okay. By definition, efficient means achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expenses. Well organized is a simile for it. And if you are an efficient person, you are working in a well organized and content way, preventing the wasteful use of practical resource. In general, being efficient has nothing to do with speed, though at times they can correlate, they aren't the same thing. When you are efficient, you are just making sure you're being fully productive as much as possible with little waste. And when I feel as though I want my life to be filled with efficiency, I want it to be filled with productivity, to be filled with me reaching my purpose, as well as filled with all that comes with it. And to me, the waste in the manner of terms of life and time isn't necessarily the spots in which you rest and break. To me, the waste per se is just you trying to ignore things that you know you should be doing. You trying to divert yourself on a path that isn't for you. You wasting your time on people or things that don't necessarily fit or align with you. And I've wasted my personal self, I've wasted a lot of time dealing with things and people that didn't even need my energy, nor at times want my energy, and yet I put myself through that simply because I cared for that person or that thing, and I wanted to fix whatever was broken in that instance. But I've heard one thing, and I understand it completely, that things will tell you when you no longer need them. Other things will tell you when you no longer need them. Whether or not you want to listen to it or not, it just is. And so the waste in that way is you trying to continue to put yourself through situations that no longer serve its purpose in your life. Continue to reach out to people that no longer deal with you in your life or have a need, or even you needing a need for them in your life. That's wasting your time. That's not filled with the productivity and efficiency that needs to be. And so for that, when you constantly put yourself through that, it feels like life, in a way, was wasted. Because it does feel short to you then. Because you spend all of your energy, your time, your effort, everything into things that won't serve its purpose. But time isn't short. Life isn't short. Not in my opinion, at least. Life isn't short. But at the same time, life will not wait for you. It won't stop just so you can collect yourself. It won't come to an abrupt pause so you can gather yourself, so you can get rid of all the waste in your life and focus more on the efficiency, the productivity, and what you need to be successful in your own way. Life won't freeze for you to collect and gather yourself. Life isn't short, but it will not wait. Time isn't something that freezes, therefore it does continue. And so in instances, it can feel way too short. It can feel too short to be worried and focused on things that don't serve you. But again, time is simply relative to the person, to the situation, and the place. It is completely relative to that. It's a construct that we form in our own minds, in our own universes, in terms of the universe is limitless. Therefore, why are we constricting our minds just simply thinking of time as one thing? It's not short. It's not something that can be calculated the exact same every time. In my opinion, it's completely up to the individual themselves and their situation and where they are. Therefore, time isn't short. Life isn't short. It's just not going to wait nor stop for you to collect yourself fully. It's not going to slow down and let you catch your breath and catch up. It's going to continue no matter what. And the other day, probably a week ago, I don't remember, there was someone who spoke, for a few of the athletes at the school I go to, it was a nice little but the thing that stuck out to me really was how when he spoke he said, no matter what, life is not gonna stop for you. Which isn't what inspired this, but like I thought about that like a few like right then when I was saying it. How it's not gonna stop, how the world isn't gonna stop, how people in the world is not gonna stop just so you can get yourself together. A teacher I had once before also said a similar thing, how like people aren't going to be as graceful as they are now and when you're younger. If you cannot achieve something or if you're just not qualified for a position, they won't stop and let you get yourself together. They will move on to the next qualified person and you'll be about your day. They'll go about their day. They're not gonna stop for you necessarily. And I don't think they say that to be like people are rude. I think they're just being honest. And I fully understand that. But yeah. And back to the guest speaker we had. He was saying that the best time to really take in and take advantage of the fact that we have grace more so in our youth than we do as we get older, to take advantage of that and to gather yourself now, to unload all the waste, to become not necessarily done with everything that doesn't serve you, but focus more so and put more into what matters to you, into what you need for yourself, and also just what serves more of a purpose in your life, more efficiency in that way. And I understand that completely. Focus in and learn and explore yourself now so you can unload and unpack all of that waste and what holds you back in life. And so as you move forward, life doesn't feel too short at all. If anything, it might still feel short. I don't know. Depends on the person, but that life shouldn't feel as though it was wasted and it went away too quickly and it was wasted. It should feel as though it was meaningful, as though it was filled with life, purpose, and enjoyment. That as though life should be something that you have, that you go through, not just for the sake of going through it, but you go through it to learn, experience new things, as well as to fully achieve and find who you are, to fully achieve the purpose in being, to not only pour into yourself, but also pour into others. Therefore, life should not ever be too short. Life shouldn't at all be too short. Even if you don't live a long life in comparison to others, it shouldn't be too short at all. And if it is, then what are we doing wrong? Or not wrong, but it shouldn't feel too short at all. It should feel just right, It should just be. Life should just be. It shouldn't feel too long because then you're constantly worried about the next thing. That's how I felt when it felt too long. I was waiting. I was hoping for something new that had not yet came. And yes, I can say I'm waiting for that still, but now I'm waiting for it with more patience. And I'm taking in each day instead of worrying about the next thing now. But when life feels too short, that means it's filled with regret. Therefore, I fully do agree with the fact that your youth is the time to unpack, unload, and discover more so of who you are so that you can live your life achieving, the maximum productivity, achieving all that life has to offer you so you can achieve your purpose, learn your lessons, explore, and going through the new experiences and people and things. Life should be about that, not about finding, rebuilding every moment of who you are. Obviously, you're still going to find yourself throughout life. That's not a waste. It just is what it is. But when it comes to you have no clue who you are at all, that should be done in your youth so you can enjoy the rest of your life, you know? And another thing that also kind of caused me to think about that a little bit more was how I just thought about how so many people my age, younger, or just in general around me, how focused they are in the relationships, whether it be friendships or in romantic sense, the relationships that they have now. How much energy and effort they try to put in, which isn't a bad thing, but how they constantly try to pour into those relationships and constantly do this and that. And if this relationship isn't working out, how they have to move on to the next relationship and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I feel as though trying to find a relationship now is honestly, in my opinion, I'm not going to say it is or not, it is a part of that waste. It's a part of the wastefulness because you're not doing anything to actually discover who you are. You are only trying to seek affection, love, and validation from others. And again, I have been through that similar situation. It just wasn't the same degree. But yes, constantly, you're not trying to discover who you are. You're not trying to learn who you are. You aren't putting effort into yourself, into your life. You're not putting any effort into your own time. Instead, you are putting effort into trying to form bonds with others who may or may not be beneficial in your life. But you want them there. You want to keep them there. And you want to continue to have them around you. And no, I had to separate myself from a lot of different things as in recently and just like in the past few months, almost a year. I'd say it'll be a year in May. When May comes around, it would be an entire year. But in the past few months, because it's just, you can see a lot of like how other people are just so adamant, so focused on trying to achieve this thing with certain people. How no matter how many times that person hurt them, broke them down, made them want to just do anything. You know how many times these people go and have quarrels with one another and have discourse and always clash, yet they still try to make something work out. And again, this goes for both friendships and relationships because I see it all the time from people my age, and I'm like, okay. But nobody really stops and separates themselves from this and tries to collect themselves and actually learn who they are. And you can see it more so when people get older, when they finally come to the realization that they have to find who they are, that they also have other responsibilities as well, whether that be children, whether that be their workplace, whether that be any kind of commitment they have. It's harder then, because at any moment, again, like I said, life will keep on continue. It won't stop for them to figure out who they are just because they need a break or because they need that time to digest. It will not stop nor slow down. And usually that's what people say. Life is so fast. Life moves on quickly. Life is this and life is that. But really, it just won't slow down for you. I don't think it's too fast. It just won't slow down for you. And like, there will be a period where it seems like things are moving and happening all at once. But in those instances, it still won't slow down for you to collect yourself. And in general, I don't know what to do in that situation. I'm still trying to learn, but you know, that's just how I feel about it right now. But I'd always like to hear the opinions and ideas of others because my mind is limited to only what I've experienced so far and what I observe from other people. And I observe people often, but it's still limited. So the walls of my society that I currently reside in, it's limited to my own age group. It's limited even more to my location. Therefore, I'd always like to hear the ideas of other people in this topic. I don't know if I actually concluded anything at all, but that's just my own spill on this, and I really hope that everything is well, and that if you want to talk about this, you can. And anything else, I don't think so. But I hope your day is well. I hope the night tomorrow comes, and that when you rise, when you wake, that it will be another glorious day. That you thank the Creator, the universe, and all things. Bye bye.